I'd like you to stop for a moment and close your eyes. I ask you to imagine yourself within a deep sleep, entangled within your deepest fantasies, enveloped in a world where the troubles of the day can no longer have a hold on you any longer. And then all of a sudden, unbeknownst to you, you've been plucked from this realm of sorts. Your mind had conjured up for you. While it tends to mend to parts of your brain for use later within the day ahead of you. All of these processes brought to a thundering halt, leaving you perplexed and bewildered, all to find out that this abrupt waking is a byproduct of your school district's early start time. This problem is faced by many teenagers around the world, many of which you foster some relationship towards, whether that be your brother, sister, cousin, son, daughter, nephew, or niece. And as a teenager myself that's gone through these critical stages of development throughout middle school and high school, in a district that had an early start time, I don't see a reason as to why my voice shouldn't be lended an ear or two. My intent is to convince you all that early school start times have negatively impact students in many facets of their lives. First, I'll brief you on the magnitude of the change of the circadian rhythm within teens. Then I'll speak upon the negative effects of the negative effects on teenagers early start times have. And I'll wrap up with a clear-cut solution to this sleep deprivation dilemma faced by teens all over the world. Within our minds, and when I refer to the mind, I'm speaking particularly your brain, there lies this region known as the internal clock. This region is scientifically referred to as the hypothalamus, which, as the nickname suggests, this portion of your brain controls when your body feels sleep, when your body tells you that it's ready to sleep, or that it lets you know that it's time to sleep now. This region of your brain is able to do so, carry this out through the production of melatonin, which, once this is produced, ventures throughout your body and going from organ to organ, which will then bring about this sleepy sensation we're all so fond of. Now, around the ages of 10 to 19, this internal clock shifts 2 hours forward, meaning a person who formerly felt sleepy at around 8 or 9 p.m. won't feel this sleepy sensation until around 10 to 11 p.m. The problem that arises from this is that now these developing preteens and teens are now left in an insomniac state where they can no longer sleep at the times that were once normal to them, leaving them in a conundrum where they lie in bed closing their eyes for some odd number of time with a prayer that sleep will just overtake them, unaware that in spite of their best attempts to grab at any modicum of sleep, their entire sleep schedule has been pushed forward by 2 hours, or in this case delayed by 2 hours. As a result, these students can no longer obtain an adequate amount of sleep before they have to rise for the day of school ahead of them, which must continue even at the cost of said students' sleep. Now, with the adverse side effects that can come from sleep deprivation on a developing student, this can lead to very detrimental changes within a student, especially at a crucial age in a person's life. Sleep during these ages should not be toyed with. Drowsiness within the classroom will cause students to fall behind within a class, which repeated instances of can lead to an overall steep decline within a student's performance in said class. Tardies can become a product of lack of sleep within a student's life, which can snowball into full-on absences that arose from a decline in motivation to get up for school, with a saying going around where it's like, since I'm already going to be counted as late, what's the point of even going? Which over time, repeated instances of these actions can fester into a stronger emotion, or can become the domino effect which will lead to then a rash decision being made, which can be them eventually dropping out of school. Substance abuse can become a byproduct of a frivolous lack of sleep, where students find themselves trying to compensate for their lack of sleep through an abhorrent amount of caffeine consumed, all just so they can make it through the day. The same day of school they were barely able to function through, as they clutch their bottle of their caffeinated beverage. And as I'm also a victim of this, as I have a caffeinated beverage here. Now, a solution to this epidemic faced by our youth is to delay the start time of schools, which will benefit students prominently. Not to mention that many medical organizations recommended school districts to start no earlier than 8:30 a.m. as school students will be able to enjoy a full night's rest without worrying about trying to calculate the amount of sleep they'd be able to obtain if they were at so and so time. Along with academic performances increasing with a proper night's rest and less of a chance of a student to drop out of high school. And these have been backed by school districts where they do actually implement this later start time, and they see results of students all across the board having improved academic performance on standardized tests, where math and reading scores across the board of these districts went up by 2 to 3%, which is the equivalent of either shrinking class sizes down by 1/3 of a size to 1/3 of its size, or from switching a so-and-so teacher to a one-of-a-kind teacher. In conclusion, with this, I can only have hoped to persuade you to join or support the cause for delaying school start times. And if not, I'd like you to review some of my points that I brought up here, which is the importance of the change within the internal body clocks of adolescence, which, as you saw, can literally be the difference between like a meaningless 2 hours just sitting there in bed of like just not being able to sleep, and to the negative side effects that the school districts with early start times have on students, which can eventually lead to a potential dropping out of school, which would sever a student's education. But most importantly, at a young age where it's very easy to be impressionable, why would we allow there to be a chance where something can potentially permanently stain a student's development? That's within our own control. How would we be able to sleep with ourselves if we allowed such a thing to exist? Before I leave off, I'd like to give credit to 3 articles that I used when I was constructing my speech here. Number 1, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, Association for Sleep Clinics and Researchers, UCLA Health, Sleep in Teens, Sleep Disorders, and thirdly, but not least, among teens, sleep deprivation, an epidemic, Stanford Medicine News. Thank you.